Hi everyone, and Happy New Year to everybody. And today I'm going to be working on this snow pile. This is my sample, and I did the sample a little more wintry originally, and today we're going to be doing it a little bit different. But you have a lot of different colors in your kit, so you have, I believe you have a lilac and a blue, and you have a green, and a red and an orange and a white. So if you have your own colors, you can choose your own colors to do the piece. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to do it in two colors. I'm going to do the lilac and the blue. But like I said, you have your other colors, and if you have colors of your own, you can also do whatever you'd like to do. Now, I went ahead and I started putting the white on the piece because I figured it was a little boring for you to watch me painting the white on the whole piece. So what you should start with is the white here and the white here. And I don't know if I introduced myself, and I know a lot of you follow me, but I'm Rosemarie. And I have many videos here on YouTube. So if you'd like to watch any of them, just look up under Rosemarie Ceramics. You'll see quite a few videos. So I'm going to be painting the white on all of their faces. Now, I try to be a little careful and not to get it on the other areas that I'm going to be doing in other colors, but I don't go crazy. Like I use a little bigger brush than you have there. You have the blue, the square one, and you can use that to put the white on, okay? It's a little harder to cover colors once the bisque is sealed with the previous color, like the white. If the white gets up on the nose, it'll cover it eventually, but it might take a couple of coats to cover it. So you try to be a little neat, but I don't nitpick at it now. I just paint it, and then I go back and I touch up later at the end. But I put the paints on nice and smooth. Now, the one thing you have to know is I'm using a bigger brush than you have there, but when you're using a smaller brush, don't scoop up the color and just glob it on. The color should be nice and smooth when it goes on. You shouldn't see any lumps. You see the difference in the white? A lot of people ask me, why do they have to paint white? Well, there's a big difference between the white acrylic and the bisque white. This is bisque, okay? So there's a big difference in the white, and it also seals it for you too. So, so 1 to 2 coats of the white, and it goes very, very, very far. You should have plenty in your little kits there, okay? And then you wash your brush out by swishing it in the water. I never bang it, and I tell you this all the time, I never bang it in the bottom of the bowl because that spreads the hairs open. And until I can take it to the sink and wash it better, I will usually just lay it on the top of the bowl and then wash it with soap and water later on. Okay, so I'm not going to be using this brush anymore. I'm going to use a little smaller brush, something like what you have there. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go do all the noses. So I have orange, and I'm going to be doing all the little noses in the orange. So you can use the smaller brush that you have, the blue handle smaller brush, and now you have even a smaller area to paint than you did when you did the nose, when you did the body. So very, very little paint on the brush. It will go a long way, and if you have too much paint on the brush, there's no way to spread it on the nose. It'll be all over his face. Okay, so I start at the tip, so if there's too much excess, it doesn't bleed onto the face. And just very gently, keep turning it in all different directions. Okay, just like so. So we're going to do all 4 noses. Get that on there. Now I gave you orange, and you can even paint one of their scarves in orange too. It doesn't have to just be for the nose. You're the artist, as I always say, you're the artist, and you can do whatever colors that you want and whatever designs that you want too. We'll get to that at the end. So don't do any polka dots or any designs until you get a base coat on everything. You really need to cover all of your bisque in an acrylic. You should have colors. Like before I did any of the designs on this one, I made sure that the blue was on here and the green was on here, and then the designs are done at the end. Okay, so let's get all of our colors in place first. So I have 2 of my noses done. Now I have to do the other 2. Nice and smooth, not too much paint in the brush. See, and I keep turning it in all different directions so I can get underneath and see what I'm doing. You can't do it from standing up like this. You can't really see how much you're getting all over the bottom. So just keep twisting it around. Okay, that one's good, and I just have the little one to do up at the top, and then I have all the noses done. Cute piece, right? It's called a snow pile. This is from Gare. It's Gare's Bisque. Gare is the company that I buy most of my pieces from, unless I pour them myself. I do buy some from Bisque Imports also, but not as much as from Gare. They also make an ornament that's a little bit smaller, the same design. Okay, again, swish the brush in the water. Now I'm going to be using one of these brushes, this brush, so I'm going to dry it on the paper towel. Always blot your water out of your brush so that if the next color you go into, if you have water in your brush, it's going to drip all the way down the piece, so you don't want to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 lilac and 2 blue scarves and then decorate them differently. But like I said, it's your piece. You can do whatever colors you want. I'm just here to show you application and technique, and then you could choose the colors that you would like. Okay, so I'm going to put the lilac. When I have 4 scarves, I'm going to put the lilac. You know, I was just thinking, oh well. See, now this one has the white here. I think what I'm going to do is, instead of snow or anything, because I didn't give you snow, because we're doing this more, you know, for a little later in the year, we're going to be doing colors. I'm going to do colors all on here. So I'm going to do lilac and blue on his hat. So I'm going to do the trim in the lilac, just to give you a different look so you could see what it looks like in different colors. And then you could choose from there and choose what you would like. So what I do when I do something that has a top and a bottom where I have to edge, normally I'll go across the top first or the bottom first and then turn it over and then do the other side. So just go all the way around by edging the top of the trim of the hat. This will give it a different look. I think I'll do the pom-pom in this lilac also. But you could change it up, whatever you want to do. Now I see some lumps that I left in the paint, some ridges in the paint. I go back and I make sure I pull it out before it dries, because once the paint dries, you can't get rid of those ridges in the paint. They stay. Unless you try sanding the whole piece down, which is not something you really want to do. So now I'm going to turn it over and do the bottom edge. Start in the middle. When you have less in the brush, work up to the face, up to the edge that you did white. Nice and smooth. Flatten your brush and pull it across. Put a little bit of paint in your brush. Put it in the middle here. When there's less in the brush, flatten it and scoop it along the edge. That kind of gives you a better line. Okay, keep twisting it around. In the middle, start with the excess paint in the middle, and then flatten your brush to give you a good line there. Now, you don't have to be as fast as I am. Take your time, and you can pause the video at any time. There's no rush. Just apply your colors very smoothly. See what I mean about flattening the brush and pulling it across? It gives you a nice edge. Okay, so I did that. And it doesn't mean I won't have to go back later when I do this color in the middle and straighten it out. I might have to go back with the lilac again. So I'm going to do a lilac pom-pom. And again, the same thing. I start on the top, and then I flatten my brush and work to the edge of the hat. Oops. Don't do that. Okay. So I've got the lilac on there, and I believe I'm going to go down and do this piece in lilac too. I'm a very, I don't know how you say it, but I don't like a lot of colors on a piece. On this it's different, but I usually like a couple of colors and shades of those colors. But like I said, everybody's different. You can do whatever you would like to do. So if let's see, let's finish, I'm just gonna finish up his hat and then work my way down, because I might have to put another color in there anyway. I'll work with the blue. Okay, so I'm gonna make a blue hat here. Start in the middle, work your way to the edge, go around and just do the top section first or the bottom section first, and then you reverse it and do the other. Don't try to do this area and this area where you're edging at the same time. So I'm going around and I'm trimming around the pom-pom first. And if you notice, I always go back and make sure that my paint is smooth so it doesn't dry with lumps like I said before. So now I've got the pom-pom on there. I'm going to go around and do the trim up against the rim, okay, like so. Don't start right on the edge, start away from it, and then flatten your brush and work into it. Nice and smooth. Pull it out. The one thing with this piece is you have a top and a bottom edge all the way down to the bottom of the piece, because you have to edge here and you have to edge here and you have to edge here. So you have two sections to edge on every piece that you do. Every scarf, the hat, the face. That's why when I said you did the white, you didn't have to be as neat with the white. Okay, so there you go. All right, so I've got the blue. So now let me figure out what I'm going to do with this. So maybe I'll do a blue scarf since it has the blue hat, and we'll give him a blue scarf. And again, we're edging. So we're going to be edging the top edge. And then I'll turn it upside down and then do the bottom edge. Work your way all the way around, just very carefully, very gently, not too much paint in the brush. Now mine is not going to be as neat as you should take your time. I'm probably doing it a little faster because, I don't want you to have to be bored watching me do this. So take your time, do it very neatly. There's no rush. The more time you take to do a piece, usually the nicer it comes. Okay, so I did that whole top area up against his face. Now I'm going to turn him upside down and get all along the area that's against the bottom face here. And again, gently smooth it out. Now the scarf here has a protrusion on the bottom, the fringe of the scarf. I'll show you what you can do with fixing all that later, but for now, let's just get the base colors on. When I say a base coat, all my directions say base coat. Well, most of them do anyway. My base coat is covering the bisque with paint so that there's none of the bisque showing through. Sometimes I base coat something completely in one color, but on this, you really can't do that. I mean, we could have base coated the whole thing in a gray or a very light color and put the colors on top of it. But the way I did this one was all individual painting, and this is a little bit more time consuming to do it this way. So I'll slowly go around. Now if the white, like I could see here where my white went up onto the scarf, I'm probably going to have to do a second coat. Because what happens is the white sealed the bisque and the color is not absorbing into the bisque anymore. It's trying to sit on top of the white, and you need a second coat to cover that. Okay, so I got that. So now I'm going to do the fringe. When I did the fringe, there's a little section underneath it here that you can do. Okay. It's a little, made a little different this time. Oh, this is a little bigger one. Wow, this is a bigger one. This is a little smaller, and I had made this many, many years ago. You guys were very lucky because you got the bigger one. Look at the size of this one compared to that one. They're a little different. Very little, but they are a little bigger. Yeah, I could see it on the bottom too. So I guess from year to year, you never know. So you've got a nice size piece here. I noticed it because my scarf is different here than it is here. It's a lot fatter. Oh, I see, that's 2 sections, okay. Okay. Yeah, this I don't pour, this I buy. Like I said, it's from Gare. They have a lot of nice pieces. If you ever want to take a look, it's gareceramics.com. I use their acrylics. These are their acrylics. They're very convenient for putting them into those strips that I gave you instead of using little bottles. Okay, now, like I said, you can be a little neater. I probably would like a little better edge if I was going to finish this myself. But for now, I have the blue on there. Now, I'm not going to use the orange because the orange is on the nose. So I'll probably use the, now see how I want this to be. I didn't plan this out ahead of time, as you can tell, so I'm just winging it as I go along. So I'm going to use green. I'll use the green that I gave you. I'll put that on the next one. So we'll do green, and then maybe I'll go back to the purple because I don't have the purple on a scarf, and the blue. So the green will just be in the middle. Or should I just stick to the purple, blue, purple? Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I won't even use the green. I think I'm going to stick to those 2 colors and see how that looks. So I'm going to do this one in the purple. It's actually called light purple. It's more like a lilac color. Very pretty. That colors are very pretty colors. Nice and smooth. Maybe I'll just work on 2 scarves so you don't have to be watching me paint the whole entire piece. And I'll do some decorations on this part because you get the idea of what I'm doing. I'll finish this and then I'll go do some designs. Now, what you can do is get a toothpick. A toothpick works really well to do these little lines that I have on the scarf. Not a flat toothpick, but a round toothpick. Just a pointy round toothpick. That really works well. Now I'm going to turn it upside down and do the bottom half of that scarf on the second snowman scarf. Yeah, see where the white went on here, I know I would need a second coat. So if you just don't try to glue, if you're out of the lines on something and you want to cover it, don't glob it on. Don't put it on and think that by putting it on heavier it's going to cover it. You put thin coats, and you could put 2, 3, 4 coats if you have to, but never glob the color on because then it won't dry and you'll have lumps in your paint. Also, if your color is wet, don't try to go over it. Always make sure your color is dry before you go over it. So now I see the bottom of the blue scarf. I don't like the way that's finished, so I'll go back and touch that up also. Over here on the bottom, I didn't get all the way over. So I'm going to go back and fix that. Okay, and I also have to do the fringe here. I think I need a little bit more paint. Nice and smooth. I know I keep repeating myself. But don't glob your colors on. It really can make a mess. And it's harder to fix it if you're out of the lines. It's easier to be neat in the first place. Okay, so I've got that on there. And, you know, like I said, you could go back and you could touch up and you could fix up. So what I would do on this then, I think, is I would do the blue scarf and then the lilac scarf again. I think that would make it all in this like subtle kind of colors, not like reds and greens, but you can use whatever you want. All right, but I'm going to show you how to do some designs. Right, the easiest designs to do are with the back end of the brush, and that's your handle. Don't try to glob dots on the piece. That's your handle. All right, so I'm going to put just plain white dots on his hat. And every dot that you do will get smaller and smaller if you don't dip every time. So you dip once. If you dip the second time, okay, the dot will get smaller each time. So I usually do two dots, and then I dip again. Okay, so I'm going to go around his hat with the brush, and don't put them too close together. You don't want the dots to be like thousands of dots on the piece. So I keep them a good ½ inch apart. And then when I start the next row of dots, I put it down and between. Okay, see, like it's dropped down and then it's between the upper two. Okay, and just go around, and like I said, you could dip every other one. And then the next row that you do under that, you go down again and you put it in between. Okay, so now this one I'm going to the third row, and again I'm going to drop it down and in between the two above it. And don't have your brush on an angle, almost straight down with your brush. Now on another one I'll show you how. Isn't that cute? All right, now that makes the whole thing. So because I don't want to put my arm in it, now dots stay wet for a very long time, so I wouldn't do any of your designs until you're finished with the piece. Okay, so but because, see, I already got blue on his white body in the back because I'm kind of rushing it. I'm going to work from the top down so that I don't smear everything. So I'm going to take my toothpick and I'm going to do lines, and I'll do the lines in the blue. So you pick up a little bit of color in the toothpick and do a line. And almost like a stripe going down. See what I did there? Okay, and that's with the toothpick. And then I'll do another row. Now you could do this all the way around the piece, and then you can go back and put a little flower or a little dot design in between. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to do a couple so you get the idea. And I went out of the lines on one of them, but you get what I mean, okay? Like that. And what you also can do is you could do, let's see, we could do a little flower in the middle. And the way to do a flower is to do 1, 2 dots, and then drop one the same way I showed you on the hat in between the bottom, and then you put one on either side of it. See that? The little white flower? And then in between it, I'm going to put a blue dot in the middle. Okay, can you see that little flower that I did there? All right, again, I'm going to show you again how to do that. Maybe if I do it with the back end of the brush, it'll be bigger and you'll be able to see it better. But this will make a bigger dot, so I'll do it over here. I'm going to do 1, 2. Okay, see the 1, 2 at the top? Almost like eyes. And then almost in the shape of a triangle, I drop one in between those two down at the bottom a little bit. And then there's just enough space on either side of those dots to give you a pretty round flower. So you put one dot to the right and one dot to the left. And you see how that makes a nice circle? Then I would let that dry, and they'll go back in with another color and do a center. All right, see what I did there? So it's 1, 2 like eyes, and then below it, in between it, there's one, and then on the right and on the left, there's a dot on either side. And then you let it dry and then put the dot in the middle. Okay? Now you could do your dots and your designs in all different colors. If you see on this one, I have white and blue designs on the purple. This has holly leaves, but that was for the holidays, so you don't have to do that now. I wouldn't do that now. Now down here, I did like a triangle, and I think you could do that with the toothpick. What I do with my toothpick? Oh, here it is. Okay, let's see if we can do that with the toothpick. I'll try it on this scarf. And on this scarf, I'll do it in the blue. Okay, so the way you would do that is you'd make an upside down V. Okay, see an upside down V. And then turn it the opposite way and do a right side up V. And that gives you like that little two triangles, I guess. And then you connect them. You do upside down V again, and then a right side up V. And just continue that down. So an upside down V, and then a right side up V. And that gives you that little chain, kind of chain going down. Okay. Now when you do your dots, again, you could do your dots going up and down, like I did on this other one here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that's, you see those dots I did in a row? I did not dip my brush again. So you see how each dot gets smaller and smaller? And you could do something like that. You also can do like a little curvy kind of thing. You could go like this, go to this, and up and down and around and around and around and around. And you could do something like that too. All right, and that's all with the back end of the brush. Back end of the brush and a toothpick is great. Another thing, I don't know about on here because this one is a pretty small piece, but I have also done dots with an eraser on a pencil, and it gives you a pretty big dot depending on the size of the eraser, and that's kind of cute too. So as far as the eyes and the mouth and the cheeks, let me show you the cheeks. The cheeks, what I do is you have red and you have white. So you put a dot of white in your brush, okay, a little bit of white in your brush, just a dot. Take it out on a paper towel, almost all of it on the paper towel, and pick up a little dot of red. I mean, very, very, very little. You see how little red I have in that? And blend it into the brush on the paper towel till it's all blended together and you're getting something like this. See the pink on there? All right. And then you're going to go back on, whoop, if I touch those dots, I'm going to smear them all over the place. You go on the cheeks and you just do, you see what I just did on his cheek there? This one right here. And you can make it a little darker if you want. And I'm doing almost all the cheeks with one dip of the brush, and I've taken so much of the paint out of the brush. And you'll do that on all 4 of them. See that? And if you want it a little bit darker, I would pick up another little dot of the red in the brush. And I didn't put more white in the brush because I already had the white in the brush. And I'll make it just a little bit darker. I like it a little bit deeper in color. Okay, do here, and do here. All right, it's a little deeper now. That gives him his cheeks. Now, as far as the mouths go, with a very, very, very fine brush, which you have your small brush, I would recommend an extra fine point black Sharpie. And once the piece is completely dry, you'll be able to do the eyes and the mouth with the Sharpie. Now, the fine point Sharpie, I think the tip is too thick. I like I think it's called ultra fine point Sharpie, and you can use that, okay? Someone did tell me, though, if they sprayed their piece after, it has a tendency to run. So do the whole piece, spray it, finish it, let it dry really well, and then you can go back with the Sharpie, and you can do the mouth and the eyes, unless you have black paint. And if you do the eyes with the black paint or you want to do them blue, You can do this, back end of the brush again, okay? All right, see his eyes? I just did them with the back end of the brush. And you don't even need black, you could do them in blue. All right? So that's pretty much everything that I did on this piece. And you see the chains, I went sideways with the chains, I went up and down with the lines. This one has just all dots. This one has stripes with the toothpick of the blue and the white. And this one has other kind of designs. I'll show you one other thing you can do too if you have the red, how to make a heart. Because you might want to, when Valentine's Day is coming up, you might want to put a heart on the piece. So you do, again, 2 dots with a little bit of space in the middle. And then take the handle of your brush and pull it down and you have a heart. Okay, I'll do it one more time. I'll do it here. Dot and dot. And pull it down. And pull it down and you have a heart. Okay? Very simple. And then you could go around that heart with white dots on the scarf. You could put a white dot here, white dot here, white dot here. And you could do hearts on the scarf and then fill in with dots. Okay? All right, so those are a few things, a few little tips that I've learned over the years. I was not a born artist. When I was in school, I couldn't draw a straight line. And after being in the business for so many years, and when you enjoy what you do, you just learn as you go. I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. I do my best, and that's what you all should do. Enjoy what you do first off, and do the best that you can. And as long as you enjoy it, and you get pleasure out of doing this, and that's all we can ask for, right? So I appreciate you all watching this video. For all of you out there that do follow me, thank you too for watching my videos and supporting ceramics, which has been a love of mine for my whole life. Well, for 45 years, for at least 45 years. So again, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. That's coming up soon. And thank you again, and I hope to see you soon.